The Unfiltered by Jade.
Jade.
Welcome to the Unfiltered by Jade, where we get out of the box and dive into topics that are sidelined. I look forward to entertain, educate, and inspire. Feel free to like, share, subscribe, donate, and make everybody know about this.
Beats by RB Records, a proud sponsor of The Unfiltered by Jade.
Shopping Assistance Jamaica takes the stress away. Our services include online and local shopping in Jamaica for individuals and businesses, personal shopping, purchasing of company and office supplies, importing and exporting small packages across Jamaica and worldwide, helping you to find unique gifts and items for all events and occasions. Contact us at 876-919-5195. Shopping Assistance 2015 at gmail.com. Follow Shopping Assistance on Instagram at Shopping Assist JA, at Twitter at Shopping Assist 5, and Facebook at The Shopping Assistance. Shopping Assistance, your style, your budget. We apologize for any interruptions during this conversation. Thank you. Welcome back to the Unfiltered by Jade. Today we have with us a Charmanique Hines, and she is a writer, a journalist, a coach, and a social commentator. Hi, Charmanique.
Hi, Jade. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be on this podcast.
Yes, it's a pleasure to have you. And I know the first time we met was at, I think it was Talk of Youth in Jamaica. I was in Jamaica at that time. We met at Talk of Youth. That's the first
Yeah.
time, right? So we're here again. So the first question that I want to ask you is, how did you find your voice?
Wow. That's a very powerful question. So for me, finding my voice was a bit difficult.
Mm-hmm.
So for a long time, I didn't share a lot of my experiences or my truth online or overall. The main thing that was holding me back, I think, was fear.
Okay.
I was really terrified or petrified, I would say, to share my views or anything at all. So over time, I tried my best to see if I can open myself in spaces or go in spaces where I felt more comfortable, where I was with a group of people that were not going to judge me for my views and anything that I had to say. And really and truly, when I was younger, I always sought out to be a journalist. I always had a passion for public speaking, but I did not know exactly how to find my individuality as a person. I
Right.
was naive, I was young, and I didn't know what exactly to do. I didn't have a sense of guidance. So I started to really launch out and network to see exactly how can I put my foot out there in the industry. I have a lot to say,
Yes.
but what platform, how can I really let my voice be heard? And funny enough, I saw Talk Up Youth advertising a lot of stuff online in 2014 to 2015, and I said, wow, this is a great platform for me to actually find my voice and to really share my views with other young persons. And I reached out to Empress Golden,
Right.
and the feedback was very overwhelming. It was great. She reached out back to me and said that we would love to have you on our program. We love what you have to say. We love your views. And immediately I went to audition for Talk Up Youth Season 5. And that was the first time I had my television experience.
Nice.
And right. And it was great. I was among my age group of young people. We were talking, it was just fun. And from there on, I just became myself. I was very authentic, you know who I was. I was not afraid to really open up or say anything. And from there, I really built on myself. I found my growth. I started to go up more and network with people who have goals similar to mine.
Yes.
And from there, I launched out, and I saw that it had an impact on my life because other persons wanted to network with me, other persons wanted to connect with me. When I spoke, I didn't know other persons were, motivated. I didn't know other
Right.
persons were sitting from where they are at home and saying, "Oh, this girl really inspired me." I didn't know I had that impact on people until a couple of years back. Persons were messaging me and say, "I really always admire your comments on different platforms. I really always admire your views. Keep it up." So stuff like that really keeps me going and keeps me going forward to doing more and being better as a person.
Nice. Well, the funny thing is, um, our first my first knowledge of you actually was on Dear Dream. And I say the name because she has also given me a platform where I go in sometimes and I talk
Right.
or I do whatever. So I'm able to mention Dear Dream here. But that's where I know of you actually, because you're always commenting. Always. And one thing it is that I admire is that all you're not afraid, even if it is
Right.
that you have said something and it's probably interpreted a different way. You go and explain what you're
Right.
saying, and yeah. So that for me is one of the things that I noticed first.
Yeah.
Was your name first, and then when it is that I went to Talk Up Youth and I saw you, I was like, huh, you're the one that's always
Yeah.
commenting. It's good to know how you found your voice and you decide to make the step out there.
Yeah.
Does challenges come from finding your voice, especially when it comes to speaking on sensitive matters?
Yes, there's a lot of challenges. If as a person if you don't have a strong personality, it can be very difficult for
Mm-hmm.
you to really put your voice out there, because in the world of social media there will always be
Always.
persons there will always be persons who have a different perspective
Mm-hmm.
from you and different views, and my stance really as a professional and as a budding journalist and trying to really grow in a space where I think is doing me some good service. I try my best in every single way to be professional. There are times when I comment on certain topics and certain issues and I get negative backlash,
Mm-hmm.
and I say negative because being negative is totally different from having a different perspective, because me and another person can have different views on the same issue. We can disagree respectfully,
Right.
but I've had a lot of negative views when I comment on platforms such as Dear Dream and other
Mm-hmm. Yes.
broader platforms. But I always try my best to remain professional. I always try my best to keep calm.
It's not easy. It's not easy, especially when
It's
you're dealing with
okay. It's
internet
right.
bullies. It's not easy.
Yes.
And what I've noticed that they sometimes target your personal life when it is that they can't find
Yes.
anything else to go
Yes.
for.
They dig up a lot,
Yes.
and they say a lot of things, but I try my best because I am also within the social media sphere. I'm a social media marketing manager. I do public relations. So I'm able to handle criticism sometimes. I'm a
Right.
human being also, so I do have feelings, but I
Yes.
always try to contain myself because at the end of the day, I don't know these people. These people are complete strangers.
Yes.
When I go to my bed, I don't dream about these people. So I always try to keep a balance. So if you have a different perspective, then fine. But if you are going to be negative, I always try to use up the block button a lot. I
Yes.
use it up a lot. I just keep you out of my zone. So
Right.
therefore I
Right.
won't see you anymore.
Right.
So challenges do come with being a social commentator, as my name
Yes. Yes.
says. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. I'm just trying to build my individuality, put my name out there, let people know who I am,
Yes.
because I realize that a lot of people know me from, and it's funny because a lot of people say they always, isn't that the girl that's always commenting on their
Yep.
dream, like
Uh-huh.
they're always associating me with their dream, and I'm saying,
Uh-huh.
okay, is this a good thing or is this a bad
You
thing?
know, it's a
But
good thing.
then
It's a good thing
yeah,
because all right. So for instance, myself, I am not one to be out there in the public like that.
right,
And since starting this podcast, I've realized I have to start doing that. And I mean, I even look at sometimes you and some other persons who I know that will be commenting on their dream, and I'm like, probably I should, because even Dream has said it to me, and she was saying, "Listen, start commenting, do whatever." But my thoughts are, listen, I don't want to start getting into things with people because I realize people don't know how to have conversations constructively,
right,
and I don't want to have to start going back and forth with anybody. So that was kind of a drawback for me. So seeing people like you do it is like, okay, well, it's a good thing that at least your name's out there, so people know that, hey, you're not afraid to talk, you're not afraid to
right.
speak out. You know, so it encourages people like me
Yes,
who
it
normally
does.
won't do things like that. So it's a good thing.
Yeah, it is. I've had a lot of attacks on many platforms, but I try to keep it classy. I can admit
Right.
I can admit that there were some points where I had to go back and forth with people, but then I realized that everybody has their different views on different topics. So at the end of
Right.
the day, I just let people be. That's how I try to deal with things.
Mm-hmm. So the next question was, have you been vocal about issues and have been recognized negatively or positively for it?
Okay, so this one, I remember years ago. Let me see. We're in 2021. I think this happened in 2019 or 2020 sometime.
Mm-hmm.
There was this song that the popular artist Shensei released.
Mm-hmm.
The side chick,
Right.
whatever she want to call it.
Right. Right.
And I commented on it because I saw she posted on Twitter. So I commented on it because she was saying that she was empowering women with her
Right.
song. And I commented and I said, how can you possibly be encouraging women when you're encouraging young girls who are possibly looking up to you to, date somebody who is already in a relationship? And the
Right.
backlash that I got, people were saying, how is that your concern? It's just music and stuff like that and all of that. And that doesn't affect her as an artist. And it was so enormous till it did all reach over tropics and all of
Wow.
that. And, I really commented and I said to persons, I am not really commenting on Shensia, the artist. I'm commenting on the
Of what she said.
content,
Right.
right, of the lyrics because I don't agree with what she said because
Right.
this is no way you are empowering somebody by telling them it is okay to
Right.
be associating themselves with somebody who is already taken. And then she was like, oh, we are living in that reality. And she was like, oh, the reality of the situation is it is going on. And I said, I agree, but there are other positive realities out there also which you can sing about, which you can speak about. There are many young people on your platform that are looking up to you. Is this the type of message that you want to put out there to young girls? And it reached the point where her manager had blocked me on social media
Wow.
and all of that. So
Funny thing that you even mentioned that, because the truth is, encouraging people to be with other people's partner, and
right,
calling it side chick and saying it's okay to do that, and saying it's reality, not because it's reality mean it's something that we
right.
encourage people to do.
Right.
It's
And that was
reality,
my thing. That was
right?
my
It's
thing. Even
reality,
if it is, even if it is the reality, fine. But we don't have to push that agenda. We don't have to
right?
put it out there and say, hey,
Right?
this is something that we should be normalizing because it is now happening. Why can't we unlearn these things?
Right?
Why
Right?
why can't we encourage young girls to, learn how to grow and love with somebody, learn how to build with somebody? Why can't we teach young girls that it went really big, and I was so disappointed with a lot of comments that I saw, and I wrote an article to the Glean and it was published the following day. You can check it out. It's called the
Right?
Side Chick Epidemic.
Oh dear.
Yeah, so I wrote it and Gleaner published it and I shared it on my platform so other persons could have
Could
a view.
But
Right.
the truth about it though is that it's a shame that you have so many people that were fighting against you with that statement.
Yeah.
It shows how the society really thinks.
Yes, it
And
does.
I mean, yeah, it's not really cool that you
It
have
is not.
people out there, going for it, and because the truth is, those same people, if they find out that their persons have
Yeah.
somebody else, they're not gonna take that lightly.
They are not. We
So
are we are very emotional beings
yes,
and the way how we were socialized that has a lot to affect the type of relationships that we're in and how we respond to people.
I,
So again, I always encourage persons, even entertainers, even if you are going to sing something or okay, it's the reality. People are dying, people are sleeping with other person partners. We don't have to push that agenda really
no,
and
no,
truly. We can sing love music. We can find other means and ways to get to young persons. I know hardcore entertainers and influencers who use their content and their lyrics to get to persons and they don't
right,
have to be raunchy and all of that. And
right.
well, I mean, everybody has their own thing, but I
Right,
just
but the thing
don't.
is, it's not just music because it resonates with people. So
Right.
people will say, "Oh, it's just music." It's really not just music. It's something that resonates with people, and people act on it whether they like it or not,
Yes, they do.
subconsciously. All right, so let's talk about your business. So
Yeah,
I know that you deal with resumes and you help people to write their resumes. Can you just tell us how it is that you started this
sure.
and how is it that persons can write resumes to land in the jobs that they're seeking?
Okay, so my partner and I, we were at home one day, and I've always been a writer. I've always loved writing. My friends would always ask me to proofread their document and edit stuff like that.
Right,
And my partner said to me, "Why don't you start a business where you help persons edit their resumes and edit their cover letters and send it out to potential employers?" And we sat and we thought about it very long and hard.
right.
I did some research. I saw that there was a pain point in the industry. A lot of persons had impressive qualifications, but they were not landing the job. So I really did my research to find out what was happening, and I found out that many persons didn't know how to construct a resume, how to write one, how to really fit in with the interview process. So I did my thing, and that's how I really launched out my business in 2018. And from that, it has been going good. The response is great. In terms of the resume writing, I always tell my clients that your resume doesn't have to be peachy and colorful and all of that. Employers rather a traditional document,
Right.
black and white. Sometimes it depends because if you're in the creative industry, like myself, you want a resume that grabs your employer. So if you're a social media manager, or if you're a journalist, if you're a media person or a makeup artist, you want your resume to be grabbing to your employer. You want something that will say, "Hey, this is going to pop." But if
Yes.
you're a finance manager or if you're applying to be an administrative assistant, you want something that is simple and okay. And there are a lot of things that I encourage persons not to put on their resume, and this one is very controversial because many persons have different perspective. But I don't encourage persons to put their full address on their
Yes.
resume.
I was reading that stuff, yes.
Right, I don't do that because there I mean, we are in a digital world. Your resume can literally go anywhere. Literally, you send your resume to HR. Yes, HR personnel are trained in confidentiality, but at the end of the day, you want to ensure that you're safe. And it's not only about safety, as much as it's illegal, you can open yourself up to discrimination also.
Yes.
That is very big in the job search because
Yes.
sometimes, as much as we think employers are not looking exactly on where you live, they might judge you based on where you come from.
Yes.
And it brings me back to Itana's song "Wrong Address."
Yes.
That young girl in the video, she had a good resume, she had good qualifications, but because she came from an inner city community, she was denied a job. So at the end of the day, I mean, if you are in Kingston, Jamaica, it's fine. That's all you need to put on your resume.
Right,
Kingston,
right.
Jamaica, St. Catherine, Jamaica, it's fine as long as you're within the area that you apply for, or if it is that your employer requires you to be within a certain area, then that is what you put. If not, then you are free to put your full address, but it's not something that I encourage clients to do.
Yes.
The other thing is references. I don't encourage persons to put references directly on the resume, but on a
Ah,
separate paper, like on a separate part of your resume, but not directly on it. Because some companies, they use a system, it's called the ATS, it's an
okay.
application tracking system. So when your resume goes through it, what it does, it really filters out anything that is not supposed to be on it. So imagine if you put your reference on your resume, you put their email address and their phone number. What the ATS system will do is sometimes it will send an automated response to that person's email address. And if that person doesn't respond to the ATS, then you're out. You don't get a chance at the
Wow.
job. So a lot of companies use that system. A lot of HR managers, a lot of recruiters use that system. So I always tell persons be careful of how you do those things. Always put it on a separate piece
Separate
of
piece of
paper.
paper.
Right.
Oh,
And so
okay.
many other things. If you're applying for a social media manager position and you have social media experience, but you also have administrative experience, you just want to put your social media experience on the resume because that is
Oh,
a
really?
targeted, right. So you're that is a
Ah,
targeted resume. So you only put your social media experience on the resume because you're targeting the position that you're applying for. So
okay.
that's why it's called a targeted resume.
Resume.
And
Okay.
a functional resume would just be like, you put all of your experiences on the resume. But if you're targeting it to the specific job, then you put the experience that is aligned with the job description.
Interesting. So I'm learning something.
Yeah.
I'm learning something as I go along. What's the difference with a good resume and a bad one?
All right. So I wouldn't necessarily say good and bad resume, but there are some resumes that are just, how do I put this, not professional at
Oh,
all.
okay, good wording,
Right.
not professional, right?
Yeah. So some people resumes are all over the place. If you are just leaving high school, for example, of course you won't have any work experience, but you will have a voluntary experience,
If they
you
have
know,
that.
if they have that. And that's why I always encourage young persons in high schools, do voluntary work, join clubs, stuff like that, because when you leave high school, those things can add to your resume. It makes you more marketable.
Yes.
So you put it on it and then you are able to open yourself up to the job search. I don't normally encourage persons to put hobbies, stuff like that. I see persons put running, playing
I
netball.
think that comes from earlier in high school when it is that
Yeah,
we're told to put hobbies and whatever when we're doing resumes, but it's not so now anymore. Times
no,
have changed up. People have still kept the consistency of that.
right. But it's not necessary. Like you don't have to put that. Even if I mean, if it doesn't apply align to the job, then you
Right.
don't have to put it on it. You're just taking up space on the resume. That's how I see. You don't have to put it at all. So the hobbies and stuff like that is not necessary. What is important is that you outline the skills that you have that is aligning to the job. So transferable skills, technical skills, soft skills, skills like that that will align to the job. So the hobbies are not necessary because sometimes employers are not really interested in you knowing how to run or
Or what you read.
netball or what you
If you
read,
listen,
like if
if you
you listen
listen to
to
music in your
music.
spare time.
Yeah, they don't really care about that at all. So that is not necessary. A good you really take your time to tailor your resume, especially persons have this thing where they normally use general objectives. So you're applying for an accounting position and you use a general objective, for example, to work within this organization to build on my practical skills so I can be better able to move to upward management. That is a general objective. So you don't put that. You always want to make sure your objective is aligned with the position that you're applying for. If you're applying for an accountant position, you can put experienced accountant with 5 year experience in with payroll, accounts receivables, accounts payables, stuff like that, so they can see that you are aspiring to be an accountant or you have experience with accounting. But the general objective, no, I don't think person should do that at all when you're applying for specific jobs. If you're applying for any type of vacancy within the organization, then fine, you can use a general objective.
That's interesting. It's interesting how you zoned into this area because normally I don't think people are thinking much about it. Because if
Right.
it is that they're looking at a job, they probably send it to their friend. Hey, you can fix up this resume for me, please.
Yeah.
It's not something that you'll think about as, oh, this is a job where you help people to do it. So I mean, it's good, and not many. You don't have many persons that actually do this.
Right.
All right, so we are at our last question. Well, not a question really. I want you to encourage persons out there who are afraid to really use their voices to speak up for
Right.
themselves, whether it has to do with their rights, their relationships,
Yeah.
their businesses, matters concerning their own country. But
Yeah.
they don't want to speak about anything because they're afraid of backlash or what people will say,
Yeah.
or they're afraid to look stupid. Give
Okay.
people, yeah, some encouragement. No, it's true. So give people
It's
some
true.
encouragement.
Okay, so for young persons out there who are listening, for anybody out there who's listening, I would encourage you guys to find a safe space. That's the first thing you want to do. If you're afraid, you need to find spaces in which you are able to find your voice, spaces that are free of judgment, spaces where you can sit and talk to other persons, where you can be able to open up. If you are shy and you want to go into the public space and talk, find persons who are vocal. Find yourself in spaces where you can talk up about a lot of things. Talk Up Youth is a wonderful platform for young persons to find their voice.
Mm-hmm.
Jamaica Youth Advocacy Council, JAN, that's a wonderful platform to find your voice. A group of young people, they encourage you, they teach you, and don't be afraid to really put yourself out there, because at the end of the day, that is exactly how you will make your mark in the world. You
Right.
can't just sit and expect to make an impact if you're not putting yourself out there. So at the end of the day, always ensure that you have a mentor or a mentee, somebody who's always there who you can talk to, who you
Right.
can share your thoughts with. But never be afraid, because no matter what you do in life, people will criticize you. If
Yes.
you do good, they will criticize you. If you do bad, they will criticize you. So you have to be your authentic self. You have to be you, and you just have to make sure that in anything that you do, always be respectful, always be professional. You're going to always get backlash like myself, but
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, always keep it classy and professional. And if you feel afraid, just take your time to mold yourself,
Right.
take yourself to build on yourself, because that is what's all about: self-improvement and self-development.
Awesome. Awesome. Tell us
Yeah.
where we can find you on your social media.
Okay, so my Instagram business page is the interview guru.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So my email address is the interview coach ja@gmail.com. And my WhatsApp business line, you can reach me at 876-458-5071. That's 876-458-5071. I also recently have a TikTok account.
Gotcha. Awesome.
So we are the interview guru on TikTok also, where we share resume tips, resume advice, interview tips, and stuff like that. And my personal page also, if you can't reach any of my business page, it's social_commentator, and you can always reach out to me on that platform.
Nice, nice. Thank you so much for being here and being in discussion with me. I
You're
really
welcome.
appreciate it, and I'm sure, just like how I've learned today, I'm sure other persons will learn also. So
Yeah.
thank you again, and guys, thank you again for listening to the Unfiltered by Jade, and we'll be back next week Tuesday.
Bam bam bide, bam bam bide, badu bidi bam bam bide, bam bam bide.